And so you're a young guy in this country. You're a boy. You're 14 years old. And you go on YouTube to check out what somebody thinks about a video game that you like, and 3 or 4 videos later, you have a podcaster telling you all women are and your birthright in the patriarchy is to be in charge and rule over things, and the woke left is trying to change it by putting women and immigrants in charge, and you need to take back your power as a man. And it's validating all of the anger that they have because they're hormonal teenagers with underdeveloped brains. This isn't about babies. It's never been about babies. It's all about control. And you can see that right now. Your Body, My Choice. It's about controlling women. It's never been about babies. But when it comes down to it, men love women, but they don't love women in power. What a week. I've learned a lot this week. I've actually dug in really deep to a few things that I didn't know as much about. And now I've learned a lot. There are several ways I could start this video off. I could talk about how much it really sucks to be a woman right now. But I've talked about the hatred of women and the misogyny on the internet before. And it's just really loud right now. But it's always been there. And it shouldn't be a shock. I'll say this. I've never shied away from expressing my political viewpoints on this channel, but I don't really talk about politics, and that's not what this is about. And I think I did purposely avoid talking about politics for a long time when I was doing the candle channel thing, because I know people of all different political persuasions are interested in scented candles, and that wasn't the point. But more recently, I'm sure if you watch me, you know what way I go, and I fall right into my demographic, college educated white woman in a blue state, millennial. I will say something I don't really talk about is that I'm actually kind of a politics nerd. And if you would have told 20-year-old me that, she wouldn't have believed you, because I really didn't care about politics at all when I was younger. I voted. And I enjoyed watching election returns on election night because it was exciting and this thing that everyone was watching. And I had candidates that I was rooting for and that I had voted for, but it didn't really affect me who won. And 2016 kind of changed everything. And that's when I started to get really into politics, because I was just kind of fascinated with how someone who openly said things like you can just grab them by the... And you had 2 men having this conversation and Billy Bush got canceled. But Trump is invincible. I mean, he's invincible. When he said he could go into Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and be fine, I mean, this man has made a contract with the devil because he's untouchable. But I am a politics nerd. I listen to political podcasts, multiple per day. I, have the apps on my phone and everything. I'm kind of a dork about it. And in a way, this week has been something to really sink my teeth into, because though the results are appalling, and for me, surprising in a way, but also not at all, the Monday morning quarterbacking of it all, the hows and the whys, it's given me something to do. I've basically been listening to political analysis nonstop since Tuesday night. I'm getting a little sick of it, but at the same time, I like it. I live in a blue bubble that I've put myself in. I'm in a blue bubble in a red city in a blue state. But my life is very progressive. I surround myself with liberal media. I have an extremely progressive job. My friends are all on the left side of the political spectrum, mostly. My parents, independent, but mostly agree with me on things. I listen to like Crooked Media, Pod Save America, Hysteria, all those podcasts, Brian Tyler Cohen, Tim Miller from The Bulwark, Adam Mockler, the millennial core liberal media. I listen to some MSNBC, all of that too. I'm aware of the right-wing media and I want to talk about that. But I find out about most of what right-wing media is saying because the left-wing media that I listen to is responding to it. But, my job, like I work in higher ed, so I work all the time with young people who are part of the LGBTQ community, who are undocumented, who are from mixed status families where they're citizens but their parents, or they have a sibling who's undocumented. I've had students in my office upset because they think they're going to get deported. I know students who did not know that they were undocumented until they turned 16 and tried to get a job at McDonald's with their friend, and their parents had to tell them, you don't actually have a social security card, and they didn't know until then. I know trans people. I know people of all different situations, and so these issues are very tangible for me. And I do feel like a lot of people vote on abstract concepts. They don't even know any gay people. They don't know any immigrants. They maybe know like a couple of black people that they work with, and they're cool. They're one of the good ones. And by saying that, therefore, I'm not racist, even though that's like an extremely racist thing to say. But I also recognize that there are people that have tangible experiences with other populations that are negative. I don't have those experiences. I don't know those people. I'm sure they exist. But, I also don't live in a border state, whatever. I'm friends with people who are on the same side as I am politically because, I want to be friends with people that think I should have equal rights. I do have at least friendly acquaintances who are Republicans, but they are like I'm fiscally conservative but socially liberal Mitt Romney type Republicans. I don't have any friends who are MAGA because why would I be friends with them? I have friends who are way further left than I am who would call me a moderate, who are very anti-establishment, very progressive, that kind of thing too. But yes, I shouldn't have been shocked with the results, but we had a extremely smart, capable woman who ran a near flawless campaign, although it was flawless against the standards that campaigns had about 10 years ago, and everything has changed now. But a near flawless campaign. Yeah, there was a bad answer that she gave on The View. She wasn't the greatest on immigration. Gaza. But my God. The other side, talking about Arnold Palmer's dick size, having comedians call Puerto Rico garbage at his rally, dancing to Ave Maria for 45 minutes, talking about Hannibal Lecter, saying he has concepts of a plan, but no actual policies. I thought, how do we not have this in the bag? And that's what's so fascinating is because now, in hindsight, there's a lot of theories, and it's very interesting to me. There's folks obviously talking about the lack of a primary. I haven't heard anybody say we should have had a primary after Joe Biden finally dropped out and he endorsed Kamala. And at that point, it was just, there was no time. But also no one stepped forward. Gavin Newsom didn't say hey, yeah, I want to do it. Let's have a primary. I've heard a lot of people say Joe should have never run, and I agree with that. He should have never started running again. He said he was going to be a one-term guy from the beginning, and then we could have had a proper primary. I don't think the results would have been different. Misogyny obviously plays a role in this election. There are people who didn't vote for her because she's a woman. The New York Times podcast, The Daily, again, yes, of course I listen to The Daily, of course. The week before the election, they were interviewing voters down in Georgia, and they interviewed this guy, and he had to ask the interviewer, have we ever had a woman president before? He didn't know. And then the interviewer told him, no, we haven't. And he said, yeah, see, that's my hang up. I just think if we went to war, a woman couldn't handle it. And I want to be like, oh my God, you guys have been fucking up wars for years. Maybe let a woman handle it. Maybe give us a chance because you guys aren't doing too great. Oh my God. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm sure there were people that didn't vote for her because she was a woman, but I don't think that's why she lost. I don't think that even if we had shining white man Newsom running, that a Democrat could have won in this particular election at this time this year anymore. And, something I didn't know, but I'm hearing everywhere now, is that not since World War II has this happened, but it's happening now, that every developed nation, post-COVID, the incumbent party is losing. And this is because worldwide, there was inflation after COVID. COVID caused inflation. And the incumbent party always gets blamed for inflation. And it's happening everywhere, all over the world. So there probably just wasn't a way to beat that. But I think even more so, there's a big problem with the media. Younger generations are not getting their media from mainstream media anymore. My sister's baby daddy, who's the only MAGA person that I know, he's one of those. And the man's 45. He's way too old for this, but screw the mainstream media. You just heard that on the mainstream media. It's more something you would hear a 22-year-old say, but okay. And the right has really embraced independent media and personality media and these podcasters and Twitch streamers. And the left has not done that. They're still going to mainstream media. And now finally everyone's talking about it. There's also this issue of anti-establishment rhetoric. And this is a big Bernie Sanders told you so factor, right? People are mad. People are angry. Anti-establishment rhetoric is what people want right now. They want someone telling them the government's not looking out for you. Everybody hates the government, and the libs are the party of government. Everybody wants someone to tell them, you're right to be angry. You're right to be upset about the cost of eggs. That's crazy. I'm going to fix it. They don't really even care how it gets fixed or what the plan is or if there's a plan. They just want their feelings validated. And you've got Trump, and he's the anti-government, anti-establishment, I'm going to blow this whole thing up candidate. And what do you have on the left? You have Bernie Sanders. And in 2016, that's what he was saying. This is what this man says. He says the government's not looking out for you. They're in bed with the drug companies and the lobbyists. And, and that's why young people like Bernie so much, because younger people want someone to tell them they're right to be mad. And honestly, I think maybe Bernie would have been the only candidate who maybe could have won on the left this year. Because people, again, they don't care how you're going to fix the problem. If you're going to fix it with the right-wing issues or left-wing issues, they just want someone to tell them, yeah, government's bad. We're going to burn it all down. But this was also a very low information election. Low information voters. Both Colbert and Kimmel pointed out on the Late Shows that searches for did Biden drop out spiked on election day. How do you not know? How? I was really trying to think about this. I'm I guess if you are an unhoused person, maybe, but if you have, even then though, but you have a phone to be able to Google, did Biden drop out? So how do you even have a phone and not know that he dropped out? I don't watch TV on TV ever. If I'm watching any kind of show, I'm watching it on Hulu or, YouTube or something. But even I like saw Kamala Harris commercials, and I don't even live in a swing state, like on TVs at restaurants or and stuff. Like I don't know how you must never turn on a radio or a TV or listen to a podcast or open YouTube or open a news app on your phone or anything. How do you not know this? How would you not know? How would you not know? That's insane. But I mean, now, like, Pete was just texting me yesterday. I think Pete, like, when he wants to talk about politics, like, he must not have other people in his life that he can talk to about politics, because that seems to be why he texts me if he texts me. He was like, I'm having, having a laugh at seeing all these videos now of, like, people who voted for Trump, but now the tariffs are going to screw them over. Like, apparently one of these factories down south, all the factory workers voted for Trump, but now they just found out they're not getting Christmas bonuses because the company's like, we got to buy all our materials from China before the tariff thing goes into place. And they're like, what do you mean? Tariffs are bad? Low information voters. Here's the thing. Most people are not up on politics, and they're not super educated about what's going on or how things are going to affect them. People in exit polls mostly said that they didn't like Trump even if they voted for him. They voted for him because they think the economy will better suit their personal interests under a Republican administration, but they don't actually like Trump. However, and they'll find out, it's not going to go their way, but they'll find out. The people who do like Trump, though, like my nephew's father, they say things like they like Trump because he tells it like it is, which is a crazy thing to say because I feel like Trump doesn't tell it like it is. He just lies all of the time, but he speaks in a way that people can understand. They did an analysis of his speech, and it turns out Trump speaks at an 8th grade level. He speaks like an 8th grade boy. They analyzed Kamala's speech. She speaks like a college-educated woman. So, basically, people who like Trump like him because they can understand what he's saying. He talks like an 8th grader. And Kamala uses too big of words. She was too polished. She was almost too good. There were memes and TikToks making fun of the fact that, there was even an SNL skit where it was like, what do you want for dinner? And she's like, I grew up in a middle-class neighborhood. She was like a little bit too much of a politician, and people don't want a politician right now. They want, again, someone to validate their feelings. But I have to go back to the misogyny thing. I can't just breeze past that because it really sucks to be a woman right now. It sucks that there are a lot of people out there that would rather pay 25 cents less for eggs than you have a right to bodily autonomy. I'm not someone who votes for my own interest. I vote for what I think is right. I'm probably going to be okay. Probably. I mean, things could get really bad with Project 2025. I do fear for birth control. I certainly think we're going to see a national abortion ban now for sure. But I'm 42. Probably won't affect me. I'll probably be okay unless we go full Handmaid's Tale and they decide I can't own property or have a bank account anymore, I'll probably die before it gets really bad, though I do feel like some things are going to happen that are going to take generations to undo. I feel very sorry for young girls. I have thought a lot about Ian's daughter this week, who would now be like 9 or 10, maybe. I'm not going to do the math, but, I did form a bond with her, and about a year ago, she was like 8 at the time, I think, or 9. Some boy called her fat, and I'm like, it's already starting. Well, now, I don't know if you've heard the news, there's men all over the internet saying things like, your body, my choice, and kids are chanting this at school now because of these right-wing podcasters who are spreading hate. There's people posting messages saying, watch out, FAGs, we're coming for your sick asses now. Like, just hate speech has blown up because there are men now who have a free ticket to say what they really think and face no consequences. The hate has always been there. Now it's just out loud. But I fear for young women, it's going to be so much worse for them. And as much as I feel really shitty, because as a woman, you know that there's hate, you know that there's misogyny, you know that it's more dangerous for you to walk outside than a man. It's more dangerous for you to sit in your house than it is for a man to sit in his house. You know that you make less money on the dollar than a man doing the same job in this country. You know that it's harder for you to get a promotion. You know that scientists are putting way more effort into men's healthcare than women's healthcare, so they still don't know how the women's body works, and that it's more likely that you're going to go to a doctor and be told that it's all in your head than a man ever would. It's hard to be a woman in general. But you want to believe that most people are good and it's mostly okay. And then you see these results and you're like, oh, yeah, most of them do not care about us actually, or care more about the cost of a loaf of bread than they do about us. And if I feel this way, I can't even imagine what it's like to be a Black woman right now, or any woman of color, or a gay woman, because they have to be feeling what I'm feeling 100-fold. Yeah, Clover. The only people that this is going to be better for are like Vladimir Putin. I'm sure he's elated. And billionaires. Elon Musk. Apparently, he just got like $26 million richer overnight or something when Trump won the election. Don't quote me on that, but I saw a figure, something like that. I mean, it's not going to be better for working class people. But again, most people are not educating themselves on what's actually going on. They believe what the YouTubers and podcasters and Twitch streamers tell them to believe. And, do I think like if Kamala had gone on Rogan, it would have changed anything? No, I don't. And she did offer, but she said she could give him an hour, and he said, no, it has to be 3. And they were like, okay, no. But here's what's going on. Not only has the right wing really embraced, Trump went on Aiden Ross because Barron told him to. Like these kid podcasters like Aiden Ross and Theo Vaughn, who are in kids' ears, Andrew Tate, and then the one that just started the Your Body, My Choice thing, Nick Fuentes, I want to say. These kids are online, these young guys, and they're streaming all day. They're streaming 8-10 hours a day. They are constantly online. And so you're a young guy in this country. You're a boy. You're 14 years old. And you go on YouTube to check out what somebody thinks about a video game that you like, and 3 or 4 videos later, you have a podcaster telling you all women are sluts and whores, and your birthright in the patriarchy is to be in charge and rule over things, and the woke left is trying to change it by putting women and immigrants in charge, and you need to take back your power as a man. And it's validating all of the anger that they have because they're hormonal teenagers with underdeveloped brains. But they just want some validation, and that's what they're getting. And now they start listening to this guy or these guys, and they listen to him all day, every day. They've got 6 hours of content that is misogynist and neo-Nazi, and it's in their heads all of the time. And men's brains don't even develop until they're 25, and they haven't reached full maturity until they're 42, which is crazy. And now you've got an army of, we talk about the loneliness epidemic, but that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Young men have a loneliness problem right now because they sit around and play video games, and they sit around and listen to other men, and none of them, they all hate women, and they don't actually try to get to know women or be friends with women. And they hate them. They resent them. They resent that women have power now. And women aren't stupid. If women sense that you don't like them, then they're not going to want to date you or sleep with you. Then they get mad because they think women should have to sleep with them. And they think it should be like North Korea or Afghanistan. And they should be able to own one of these domestic servant sex slaves. And they want to go back to the 1950s or before, where that was just something that you got. And it didn't matter what you did as a man. You got that because women couldn't have bank accounts, couldn't have jobs, couldn't support themselves. They had to be with you. And yesterday at work, I was talking to a coworker. She's in her 20s. We were talking about online dating, and I was talking about my height and how that's a problem on online dating. And she was like, I lie about my job. I have to lie about my job. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, I can't tell guys that I have a salaried job. I just tell them that I'm a server, because she also has a part-time job at a restaurant. She's like, I just tell them that I'm a server now. And I'm like, because men your age are intimidated by the fact that you have a real job? And she's like, yeah. She's like, I've told guys before that I have like a salaried position, and they block me immediately because they're intimidated. They don't want to be with a woman that has like a better job or has gone farther in life or whatever. And I was like, oh my God. Then I wanted to be like, why do you want to date the guys like that? You know what I mean? I would tell them right up front, I have a salary job. If you don't like that, too bad. But I guess that's the climate for her right now in her 20s. There are a lot of studies that show that young girls are doing better in school right now. For the first time ever, girls are doing better in math and science than boys. More women are going to college, and surveys are showing that Gen Z men are feeling now like they resent the competition that they have from women in the workplace. There's more competition for jobs. There's more competition for promotions. They probably have to work for a woman at some point in their career, and their parents didn't have to do that. Women were secretaries, and maybe there was a token one here and there that was a supervisor or something, but it wasn't real competition, and now it's real competition. And women kind of are surpassing men in a way because, and it's not something that men can't fix, but the thing is, we're still doing all the other stuff too. Women are doing the childcare and the parenting, and women are doing the domestic work and the chores and the household upkeep. And we're also making our own money and killing it in the career world and killing it in the workplace. And we're not doing it all. And men are still men are still kind of wanting to live in the 1950s where they just have to be a provider and that's it. But like, we don't need you to provide for us anymore. We need you to help change the diaper and vacuum. And they don't want to do that. And instead of rising to the occasion and being like, I better be a better man so I can get one of these bomb-ass women. I better step up my game so I can compete with them for the promotion or in the workplace, what have you, like a normal person would. They're like, oh, we better take away their rights. We better take away their birth control and their abortion access so that we can keep them pregnant and keep them in the kitchen. Let's use religion against them. Let's tell them that the Bible says that they better submit, so they'll feel like they're going to hell if they don't submit to their husbands. We gotta control them. Listen, if the pro-choice movement was about babies, they'd be giving better paternity and maternity leave, better like daycare. They'd be funding daycare, paying for diapers. This isn't about babies. It's never been about babies. It's all about control. And you can see that right now. Your Body, My Choice. It's about controlling women. It's never been about babies. I think that, and this is just my opinion, I could be totally wrong on this, but in my experience, my opinion, after 42 years on this planet, what I would guess, there are men that just straight up hate women. They're misogynists. They'll admit it. They don't like us. Some of them want to sleep with us. Some of us don't. Some of them don't. But, you know, there are men out there. It must suck to really hate women, but like be sexually attracted to them so that you only like a woman if she just like keeps her mouth shut. What a conundrum, right? There's those men. We don't like them. They don't like us. Okay. I think there's a lot of men who would tell you that they love women the same way Trump says, I love women. But what he means in that is he loves women as commodities, objects, and tokens that he can use. I think another large portion of men, probably the most typical man, at least millennial or in my age bracket, I think the younger generation, it's getting worse. Most men would tell you that they love women, and they think that they do. And they do, in that they do love their sisters and mothers and daughters. They do like hanging out with women sometimes. They can find enjoyment in the company of a woman sometimes. They love women as long as women stay in their place and do not surpass them. They want us to be happy. They want us to have our little rights and everything. They want us to be happy so that we aren't annoying for them to want to be around. Pete said to me yesterday, I just can't believe how anyone with a daughter would vote for Trump. And I said, listen, there are a lot of men out there that have daughters and they love their daughters. But loving your daughter doesn't mean that you want her to conquer the world and be a scientist or a surgeon or whatever, president of the United States. You can love your daughter, and what you want for her is to find a good man or I'll beat his ass. You still think she should serve a man, even though you love her. Your biggest hope for her is that she finds a good one. It doesn't mean that you think that she's as smart or intelligent or able as your son. It doesn't mean you don't love her, right? And I think there are a lot of men that fall into that category. I think very few men, I'm going to say, spitballing here, 5%, 5 in 100 men really actually respect and like women and believe that they are equals and equally capable. And I'm not talking about biological differences, like men are stronger usually, right? Okay, women can have babies, men can't. There are biological differences. I'm not talking about that. But just appreciating women as equals and actually enjoying the company of women, men who are actually friends with women that it's not because of sex and that they're not sexually attracted to, men who are maybe friends with women that they're not sexually attracted to. There are a lot of men out there that like being friends with women, but only if they're hot. You know, I'm talking about men who actually respect and like women, who would want and welcome a woman president, who have no problem working for a female boss, who have no problem going to a female doctor. That's far and few between. I think a lot of men think they're in that category, but when it comes down to it, men love women, but they don't love women in power. This week I've seen a lot of, we live in the dumb timeline. This is the bad simulation jokes. And I feel that. I feel that way because when I woke up on Wednesday morning, or really in the middle of the night, it was a spotty sleep pattern. I just kept thinking, this can't be real. This can't be, because I was still in my blue bubble, which has now burst. It just didn't make sense. We certainly are living in the timeline where Trump made a deal with the devil. He is invincible. We're in that simulation. We're in that world. RFK is going to be in charge of healthcare. Elon's going to be in charge of like basically everything. You guys, we're doomed. I mean, I am very interested to kind of see what the left will do to amend this media discrepancy, if they can even really do anything. Because there are no like equivalents. You have all of these kind of very right-wing, again, like Twitch streamers and YouTubers and TikTokers and podcasters, these like freaking little Nazi guys talking to all the young men, validating their feelings, supporting the right. And then you've got on the left, they're utilizing mainstream media too much. Only boomers listen to mainstream media. You've got a few things in like the Pod Save America guys and the stuff that I've said that I listen to that is more liberal. And then you've got like Hassan Piker, who is the most popular influencer for the left. It's not, so when I watch like Hassan Piker or like the Vosh or yeah, I try to watch any of those like young leftist streamers. Gosh, I really like Jimmy Snow too, but he's kind of in the middle. I think I mentioned Adam Mockler. He's like this 22-year-old kid, but he's still very kind of polished and journalistic. You listen to someone like Hassan Piker, he's like a Twitch streamer who just like yells a lot. Like he yells. It's not for me, but I can totally see how it's for young guys. But I watched some of his content this week, and he was speaking back to someone who, I don't remember who it was, but like someone maybe on CNN or something, somewhere in the New York Times, I don't know, a column that was talking about how the left doesn't have anyone to compete with all of these right-wing streamers, and that like Hassan is the most that they have, but the left can't, the Democrats can't really embrace him because he always is trashing them. And that is kind of what he does. I mean, he might have encouraged some people not to vote at all because he's upset about Gaza. And he's always talking about what the Dems are doing wrong. Now, his response to that is, well, they should be listening to me, though, because I'm representing what the young people want from the left. I don't have an answer. I'm very interested in it. He was watching a clip from CNN where they were talking about how the Democrats weren't going to the center enough, and they were blaming the election loss on the fact that they weren't picking up moderates. And Hassan was going crazy. He was like, that is not it at all. She campaigned with Liz Cheney. Kamala was basically saying, I'm Nikki Haley. I'm Nikki Haley, he said, which cracked me up. They couldn't go more to the center. The problem is they need to go to the left, which again ties into what I was saying earlier about how like young people want someone like Bernie Sanders, but at the same time, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, because everything's kind of shifting to where the party of the working class used to be the Democrats, and now it's not. But it's not. I think people are going to find out, because the Republicans are not here to help the working class at all, man. They're only helping the billionaires. I don't think Trump himself, personally, really cares about anything except being popular and being liked and being obeyed and having people fall in line. I mean, this is a guy who just a few weeks ago said that he admired Hitler because people listened to Hitler. Even though he's incorrect about that, because Hitler had plenty of opposition. He had plenty of people in his own military trying to go against him. But Trump thinks it was just blind loyalty. I'm sure Trump is very envious of Kim Jong-il, and just, he's envious of Putin, clearly. Like, that's all he wants. Everything that he values is loyalty and people building him up. I mean, he's a perfect example of a clinical narcissist. I worry, he's easily manipulated too. He's not going to be running things. Elon Musk is going to be running things. Peter Thiel is going to be running things. I worry more about the future. I worry more about the JD Vances. Look, I was saying earlier that this election was personal for me because, like, I know trans people, I know undocumented people, etc. This is personal. But you know what's really personal for me? The vice president-elect directly has said multiple times that my life has no value because I am a childless woman. He came for me directly. He really believes that women are just vessels for spawn. That's all we're good at. That's all we should be doing. Postmenopausal women taking care of grandkids. That's what they should be doing. That's what they're good for. He talks about his wife and he says she has 3 kids. Not we, she. In the vice presidential debate, he was saying, he was trying to make a case for the fact that he supports women, and he said, my wife, it's really hard for her to balance work and having kids. What about you? What about you? You also have working kids, but he doesn't think about it that way because to him, it's not his job to raise the kids. This man said that I'm a bad teacher because I don't have kids. I'm an excellent teacher. Some teachers Probably better because they don't have kids, because they get to go home and decompress rather than be around more kids. New teachers are great because they're motivated and they haven't lost their spunk yet, and they're probably younger, don't have kids yet. I mean, that's just such a crazy, stupid, ridiculous thing to say. I know I'm a good teacher, but this is personal for me. Bernie was right. We should have listened to Bernie. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens. People want change, but the change that they're going to get is, it could be the end of democracy. Trump is basically a king now. I mean, the Supreme Court has said he can do nothing wrong while in office. He has the Senate. He's probably going to get the House. He's going to get to appoint 2 more Supreme Court justices. I mean, there's a part of me personally, how I was feeling on Wednesday was, well, I'm just going to concede into my own life. I'm just going to have to find joy in my own life and my dogs, and just kind of take on this attitude of like, leave me alone. Just let me be. Just, don't take my house away. Don't give all my money to my closest male relative. Just as long as you don't do that, just let me be, and I will die alone here, and my cats will eat my body. But I only felt like that on Wednesday. And now I'm more like, well, let's see what happens. But I'll end with this. John Lovett from Pod Save America was saying on the pod that he is sick of everyone saying it's going to be okay. Even in Kamala's concession speech, it was a little too, it's going to be okay for me. Like, because it might not be okay. I hope it's going to be okay. If you're a straight white guy, you're going to be okay. But it really might not be okay if your family gets deported, if you get deported. It might not be okay for you if you are a trans person who can no longer get health care to be who you actually are. It's not gonna be okay for the young women who have failed miscarriages and ectopic pregnancies and can't get health care. It wasn't okay for Amber Thurman. She died. Women are gonna die, so stop telling me it's gonna be okay. We're gonna make it through this. Some of us won't make it through this, and they won't be okay. All right, y'all. I think I hit on all of the major points that I wanted to hit on. I'm sure that later when I'm editing this video, I will be like, oh, I didn't say that. Oh, I didn't talk about that. Oh, I was going to comment on that. But here's the thing. I'm going to drop some links below to some of the media that I enjoy listening to. And if you're interested at all, check it out. I know that most of you probably aren't, because you're not watching my channel because you're into politics, because this has never been a channel about that, but it is a channel about my life and what's going on and what's in my head. And this is what's in my head and probably most all of our heads this week. All right. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.